when the world's too dark of a place to be, and you need an escape from reality. Open up those pages, it's sci-fi or fantasy, whatever genre you please. And join a book club, 'cause you won't read it on your own. Join a book club, so you'll be held accountable. It's just a means to an end, but you're doing it with your friends, so join the book club by DLC.
Hello, book clubbers! Hope you're having a great one. Hope you're dancing. We're here. We're doing it. Finishing up Toll the Hounds. What a thing to finish a novel. I'm Jeff Cannata. I'm here with Lana Bachynski. Hi, Lana.
It feels so satisfying, and also like just time is racing by when I read, and thus concludes the 8th book in the Malazan Book of the Fallen. I cannot believe we're here.
Can't believe we're here. What a crescendo. Oh, so much to talk about, ladies and gentlemen. What a novel. What an ending. We're going to get to all of it, I promise. We do like to start the show with a non-spoiler topic. These are often submitted by you, and we love it. You can send suggestions for non-spoiler topics to dlcfeedback@gmail.com. This one comes from Jake, who writes in and says, "Hey, I'm so excited you guys have reached the end of Toll the Hounds. I've been eagerly awaiting this moment because the last few hundred pages of Toll the Hounds are the most fun I've ever had reading in my nearly 40 years of life. Even just listening to you recount the army of the dead arriving in Dragnapur last week gave me whole body chills." I guess that's a little spoiler, the non-spoiler section, but it's oblique enough, I think. And it sounds like you both are having a similar experience to mine. So, as a possible spoiler-free subject for the final episode of Toll the Hounds, I was wondering if you guys could recall any other books or other media that transcended being merely good and had you pumping your fist in the air in triumphant ecstasy. Before Toll the Hounds, A Storm of Swords from A Song of Ice and Fire held the crown for my most fun book experience. But then along came Mr. Erikson, and I don't think anything could ever beat the finale of Toll the Hounds. Thanks for the amazing show. I look forward to it every week. What a special book series, huh? Jake. Yes, indeed, a very special book series. Lana, pumping your fist in the air, dancing all around like you just don't care?
This is where my absolute zero organization or cataloging of my experiences, I feel like, really comes to get me. Do I know that I've had that experience? Yes. There's books that I have been so excited about or feeling so many feelings that I have physically thrown them across the room. Can I remember what book is soaring through the air in my mind? I cannot, but I remember the feelings.
Go look in the corner, see if it's still there.
Oh yeah. But I do have like a book experience that is similarly sort of massive and very long series that I absolutely shredded through because I think similarly the action was so exquisite, and so the different flavors of the books, it's a little bit of recency bias, but they still weigh in my brain and my heart as thrilling adventures that I loved, and that is the Expanse series. James S.A. Corey.
Yeah. Yes,
it's so good. I started reading them once a really long time ago, like 2016 or 17, and then I picked them back up again in 2020 when I had nothing else to do, and I literally had made so I could feel like I was hanging out with my husband Jeff a little bit, like a nest in the floor of the office of all the pillows. And every moment that I was not working at my PC, I was in the nest reading the books, and I think I read all 7 or 8 of them. I forget how many there are, in the span of just a couple weeks, because I could not stop. And so I don't know about necessarily fist pumping, but the thrillingness of the action in that and the intrigue of some of the sci-fi elements of that really just hit me in a place where it completely captivated me. So that sits high in my...
Love that. I love the nest. I love reading in the nest.
I love reading in the nest. Love a nest. What about you?
I started Leviathan Awakes a long time ago. I never finished it, and then I watched a lot of the TV series, the Expanse TV series. It never got as hooked in me like other people. Like sounds like it did for you. Anyway, this is my favorite thing, right? This is why I read. This is what I'm looking for. It's that charge. It's that there's something I do often and have done since I was young when I'm reading and I'm really just can't believe what's happening, enraptured, just moving at a clip, like, what's going to happen next? And I love it. It's like when this happens to me, it's my favorite thing. I will put my hand up covering the bottom of the page to prevent my eyes from darting lower because I'm so excited by what I'm reading. I know that there's something down at the bottom that I'm going to cheat and see, because I'm so excited. And so I'll put my hand up to prevent myself from doing that.
I love that as like a tell. Like what I wouldn't give to like know that about you and live anywhere in your proximity and like see you in public, like at a coffee shop or something, hand on book. I'm like, oh my gosh, he's having a great experience. Like that would be so fun to like know that about you and witness.
That happened a couple of times this week while I was reading. I put my hand up. I'm like, I bet that says Anna Bender raped down there, but I'm not going to look. So yes, this is my favorite. I think, I have said many times in the past that before this, I would have rated my favorite book series as being Neil Stephenson's Baroque Cycle. Mm-hmm. 3 really big novels. And I would also put the Cryptonomicon probably in that group because it feeds into the Baroque Cycle. But so 4 novels and lots of experiences like that. And those, I think I could name a bunch of books on my Goodreads. Like everything that's 5 stars on my Goodreads probably is that because that's just the experience that I have usually is just like, I can't believe this is happening at the end of a novel. And that's the most fun, why can't I think of the word? Steven's word that he always uses, the coming together at the end of the novel.
Convergence.
Yeah. I love the convergence. I never conceived of it using that term, but now I'm going to forever. Like the convergence is the best part, it's such a delight. And when novels pull it off, in a great way, it's so much fun. I'm sure there's a number of books that have done that for me in the past. Even like the Foundation, some of those things that have happened when I was really young reading Isaac Asimov. It's the best. It's the best feeling, and I'm so glad that it keeps happening with these books too.
Yeah. So there's something about these books, like in those, like specifically that energy of the last couple chapters. Yeah. That's like excitement and action and and touching moments, and somebody's doing something significant, and there's this converging of emotions that I think swirls things into this sort of tornado frenzied excitement sort of reading it. And I think there's a lot of books that I would recommend being like super high on my list, but because they're like page turners of intrigue, but not that same like, whoa, let's go.
Yeah.
And this is definitely in that latter camp of like, I cannot believe this is happening right now.
The thing about the convergence that's so fun is you've spent all this time with all these different facets, and to see them all sort of marching across the chessboard and arrive in the same place in the same moment, and just like, oh, now I understand why we were over here. Now I understand why we were over there. Now I understand what part it all plays, and seeing it all just crescendo is very satisfying. Mm-hmm. And I think Mr. Erikson knows that quite well. All right, so let's get into it because we have a lot to cover. This is it. This is that crescendo. This is that convergence. And so spoilers starting now for the last 2 chapters of Toll the Hounds. We start with the ox. Now, when we first had the first ox POV scene, of course I underestimated it, as I should have learned by now not to. But I made a quip on our episode about how delightful Erikson wants to give us some POV of an ox. Not thinking that later on the POV of an ox would literally bring me to tears as I was reading. We'll get to that. But of course it wasn't just a one-off. Of course it actually adds up to something even more impactful and interesting. I should know by now that there's a method to all of this madness. But it's cool that we get again the POV of the ox, who is just hauling ass away from scary hounds, just losing his living mind.
Yeah.
Because why wouldn't you? You're these big giant demon hounds gonna eat you.
Mm-hmm.
Very funny. Isgro Pust is riding his mule, followed by his Bacarala friends, through the Temple of Shadow, out into the streets.
All of the description of Isgro Pust being written even as competent in a way.
Yeah.
Like launching out of the temple, hopping on his mule, riding away in a frenzy. He's on this mission. He's super excited, but then and the mule taking the slowest possible steps forward. Yeah. But Isgro, cutting to the close-up of him, as though he's riding like the wind, and then far away, he's just writhing on top of this donkey that is not moving any faster. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I love it.
Yeah, definitely. You have the close-up of him like that, and then the pulling out and seeing how slow he's actually going. Yeah. Definitely the way I envisioned it as well. Then we have moments of the hounds themselves attacking each other. White hound, shadow hound, back and forth, fighting, killing people seemingly indiscriminately through the streets. We see one attack Barathol, who's pinned beneath the rubble, of course. We had left him off that way, right?
Yeah, he's in the jail still.
Right.
And so he didn't attack.
The jail has been destroyed. Yeah, that's right. That's what it is.
Yeah.
The jail is destroyed around him. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. The jail's destroyed. And so there's two wolves that are kind of fighting each other, crashing into this and then being like, oh, little pens with little bites to eat in here kind of thing. Yeah. But then rubble falling and wolves continuing fighting. Barathol kind of ekes it out of there despite having been almost buried.
Well, he's pinned and he's gonna die. The hound is gonna come and eat his face and head.
Yeah,
and
shreds his legs, just ripping them out from under the rocks.
Oh, it's so awful. Yeah. Char appears with his axe and distracts the hound. The hound charges at Char. He throws the axe to Barathol. All he's got is a rock, and so Char just feebly throws this rock at the hound, but it actually doesn't kind of knock the hound senseless. Still barrels into Char, who flies across the room, slams into the wall, unconscious, but it gives Barathol enough time to clamber to his feet, makes his way over to Char. The hounds are fighting there off, but Char is unconscious, massive head trauma.
Yeah.
Hemorrhaging, face slack, just harrowing.
Brutal.
Yes. But there's somebody else in the jail as well. And since the jail is completely destroyed at this point, Ansi comes crawling out. And Barathol's like, I need a healer. And Allie's like, oh, yeah, Mallet. Oh, I forgot Mallet's dead. Mm-hmm. Okay, what can we do? And he's like, I have an idea, but we got to get all the way across the city. How are we going to do it? Ox. And I was like, tears, just unbelievable that the arrival of a friggin' ox made me well up emotionally. They put Char in the back of the ox cart. The ox now calms down because he has his purpose. He knows this one thing. Everything's been chaos. Everything's terrifying. Mm-hmm. But carrying a body through the streets, I know that. I understand it. Everything is right with the world again. Mm-hmm. Incredible.
Love it.
Incredible. I was already bawling.
There's a couple times where I'm like, oh, this is so good, and I'm fine. And then I'd read 2 words and I'd be and then it was a light switch just on and off for me through all these chapters.
I mean, the idea that I would cry at the appearance of an ox.
Just feeling a lot of feelings.
Just
Like
feeling all the feelings.
a lot of folks in the comments last week were like, I can't believe that you managed to stop reading before the end of this book between the last week and this week.
Yeah.
And I felt that way very much. I felt like all week, I'm like, I can't do it because my memory isn't good enough to read it now
start.
and then remember it later. So I pushed it to Monday. And then, even then, sorry, another aside, I was reading on the treadmill, walking next to one of the narrative designers on my team. And I kept wanting to be like, can I read this out loud to you? While we're like both panting on the treadmill. I just was like, I have to share this with somebody. I have to wait till Thursday. This is impossible. Anyway, sorry.
I love it. So Torvald and Rallick reunited, and it feels so good. They're on the rooftops watching the city burn. Explosions happening everywhere. They're staring at the shattered moon. They're like, Rallick say, hey, Torvald, maybe you should stay here. And he's like, no, Tessera's going to be fine. She's a witch. She'll be all right. Vorkin shows up.
Lady Verada.
Rallick. What's that?
Lady Verada.
Yeah. It sounds like she's got a little something going on for Rallick. He's like, you saved me.
Oh, thanks, Daddy.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Scorch and Lef are walking on the streets. They're like, yeah, this is our moment. We took down all those assassins. Now there's big puppy dogs in the street. Let's get one. Let's get a paw that we can use. He's like, the paw would be so big you would fall over. You couldn't wear the paw as a trophy, idiot.
He's like, what do you want? Like a head? It's even bigger.
He's like, yeah, well, I can turn it into a canoe. And
yeah. Just flip that
funny.
Upside down. Everybody knows it's going to float fine.
So funny. They're shooting crossbow bolts at hounds, just like, wow, we can do this. Very funny. Crocus is riding through the city on Cole's horse. He's got that lance that he picked up. He hears the howls of the hounds. Thinks about his girl. Well, what would Absalar do if she was here?
She loved dogs.
Meanwhile, though, Chalice going through it. She's standing on the rooftop of the Viticus estate, holding her sad moon globe. We have this moment where she commits suicide, leaps off, nothing left to live for, feeling trapped like the moon itself. Lots of wonderful imagery here.
That was wonderful imagery. Pretty shocking.
I thought so too. Honestly, I did not expect her to do that. I thought it's interesting how all she wanted was Gorliss to be, or is Gorliss her husband?
Yeah.
Yeah. Him to be out of the picture. And then once he's out of the picture, it hits her in a way that I did not expect.
It's interesting because it almost feels like, through the course of their various toxic dialogue and whoever else being like, you're made for each other, both of you.
Yeah.
You're like, Gorliss, don't. And then you're going to go find lovers and he's going to go kill your lovers. And there's going to be this vicious cycle between you. But both of you kind of want that in a way. And she's like, nah, I want freedom. But then with Gorliss dead, it is almost like, her being like, I did this, and like probably some amount of guilt for that. But also I wonder if it is like loss of purpose of being like, I don't know how else to live other than in this person's shadow. It was interesting. I really didn't expect it.
Also interesting that she, we get some imagery here about the dust of dreams, which I thought was very beautiful. But interesting, the next novel is called Dust of Dreams. Right? So we were already sort of seeding that metaphor, the dust of dreams of a world it has once been, but the dust, alas, does not command the wind. Beautiful stuff. And Crocus is heading back toward Chalice to end things between them, but of course we'll never find her. She dies.
Yeah.
All right, so back to Krupp, who also is leaving. He's leaving the Phoenix Inn on his own mule. The mule showdown is so great later. Animander Rake is still, dead. Or he's no, excuse me, he's not dead yet. Just leaping ahead. He's kneeling, having the massive weight of Hood inside Dragnapur.
Mm-hmm.
Traveler shows up, flanked by hounds, followed by Karsa and Samar.
So I have a question that I meant to ask last week, and it might be a little bit out of place here, but it's about Hood. And I remember last week or 2 weeks ago or whatever, we were like, did we ever know Hood was Jaghut? And we were like, I don't think we ever found that out.
Yeah.
Does that mean that the war that the Jaghut were fighting was against Hood makes him like the first Jaghut tyrant? Or does that mean that they won and then took that place?
My interpretation is the latter, but I suspect we're going to get more information about this
later.
But we keep hearing like their first war was against death itself or something like that. And I feel like that's my intuition is that a Jaghut took the place of or ascended to be the god of death after they fought against death itself.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe that was either there was somebody else who was the god of death and they usurped it, or there was a vacant, place there and someone ascended into being.
Yeah, there was like the death throne, and one of them was like, "Oh, I'm tired.
Right.
I'll use a seat."
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
All right. So, heartbreaking moment. Ansi, Barathal, Char, the Ox arrive at Baruch's estate. This is another example to me of what I love that Erikson seems to do over and over, where like characters have a brilliant idea and it still doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Where it's like, I've got the solution. All we have to do is get all the way across the city. Oh my gosh, the Ox is here. And you, as the reader, you're like, oh, thank goodness, they're doing it. They get to Baruch's estate. Yes, oh, great idea, Ansi. Baruch can help. Baruch's like, sorry, nope, no room at the inn. Don't have time. I gotta meet somebody.
Brutal. It was like, how long does it take to do magic?
Yeah. Give him a potion, zip. Yeah, you're moving on.
Come on,
buddy. Don't be a jerk.
Oh my goodness. Heartless.
Yeah, heartless. But Ansi has another idea. I loved how Barathal is like, I'm gonna kill that guy.
Yeah.
But just an amazing moment where it's like, they did it. They got all the way there. And Brooke's like, I'm sorry, I'm gonna be late. I can't be late. There's a very, very powerful man with a big hammer who is waiting for me.
Yeah. And even like, even if like with that wider importance, it feels so real to have a grand plan for an important thing thwarted by somebody, by what feels like a tiny thing.
Yeah.
Like to them, they're just like, this guy has what places to be. He's not going to stop and save a life. Like it feels so real. I feel like there are mirrors of not quite literally life and death situations where there's that one thing that stood in the way. You got there and they closed 2 minutes early, but they already locked the door, so you can't go in. It's like,
totally. Yeah. We get a nice little moment sort of inside Char's mind as he's, fading away. He's having these revelations about himself. I thought that was beautiful.
Yeah.
They're moving back through the streets. Ansi finds a dead cat in the alley.
It's like, you got to be kidding me. It just picks it up and pockets it.
I'm going to need this later. They arrive. I don't know if you anticipated this move. I did not. But as soon as it was revealed, I was like, yeah, baby, yes. As they stride up, he's like, stay on the path. Don't get off the path. I'm like, oh, he's taking him to the fitness house. So smart.
I didn't anticipate it. I love that it was this thing, especially because it's like teed up because Ansi went there earlier.
Yes.
Like guided by, it's great.
So great. And so great that, of course, that we get another little moment with Raced, who's like one of my favorite characters at this point. Just his droll, like,
I pulled.
You rang. You know.
I pulled that little section.
Oh, good. Okay,
It's
we
like
get to read it.
amidst all of the chaos and the destruction, and he's like, actually, I have like a lot of dusting to do. It's like so ridiculous.
And it's awesome too because we've already had them show up at Baruch's house, and Baruch's like, no. And then Raist is like, no, but for no reason at all. He's just like, I got no, I can't possibly let you guys. You want to come in? Nope. It's dirty in here, and it's just so great. It's so great.
I have a lot of sitting around in the void of non-time to do.
Yeah. And then, of course, Ansie's like, but I got you a cat. And he's like, I'll call it Tufty. He's so cute. You know?
And I like how he's, how sweet. As though it's like this unexpected gesture. It's like, that was a demand you made, you chump.
Literally the big bad from book 1 now wearing frilly, maid outfit with a duster, loving little undead cats. Just a delight. And of course, the brilliant plan, because Ansie's like, this isn't going to heal him, but it's going to stop time. We can take as much time as we want to find a healer now. Just like we'll put Char on pause so he doesn't die. And take our time. Come back to it whenever we need.
BRB, buddy.
So good.
Love it.
Brilliant.
Smart.
Yes.
Ansie, a truly brilliant moment.
From Ansie. You never would have expected it. All right. Spite and Envy have decided they don't like each other nearly as much as, or they aren't mad at each other nearly as much as they want to kill Animander Rake. So they put away their differences and decide, hey, let's stop fighting each other and let's go kill Animander.
This moment of being like, oh, he's their brother. Like, I completely forgot about how they would relate to each other at all. Despite it being a convergence, I'm like, yeah, a lot of disparate action happening in the city. I feel very silly for not even thinking about the fact that they would their names are Spite and Envy, and then the one person who has like a comparatively normal name, maybe there's like an outlet there for both of them.
So awesome. It's like, he's weak, now's our chance. Why are we fighting each other when we can go kill him? Let's go, sister.
And then also doing that thing where they're like, but I'm totally gonna get you later. Both of them immediately.
I love how we get that insight into both of them being like, yeah, we're totally on the same team. She'll never know I'm going to stab her in the back. And they're like both doing that.
Like, we already saw a couple Dragon Ladies try and do this in that same kind of way. And it did not go great for them, girls. We need allies.
That's amazing. All right. So then we have this incredible scene where Traveler, followed by Karsa and Samar, come face to face with Animander Rake. We have the cult of Decembre kind of coming out on the streets as if sensing the fact that their god has arrived, and they just come to witness.
The ravens all coming by.
Yes.
And landing on all the rooftops. Ooh, what an audience.
Yeah. Traveler saying, hey, so the only, I mean, this is an amazing moment. The only thing that I don't quite get is, I mean, so it seems to me Animander wants this to happen, right? He needs to go inside Dragnapur to deal with that situation, which we'll get to. So he's sort of contrived to get into this situation where Traveler is going to kill him with his own sword. I get all that. What I don't get is Traveler only wants to kill Hood. He's there to kill Hood. Hood's already dead. Right?
Yeah.
Hood's already dead. So it feels like that's the one piece of information that causes this to happen, is Traveler not knowing that Hood's already dead, right? Because if he does he want something more than that? That's my question.
I think he's realizing that Hood's dead and realizing where Hood now is and getting access to this guy who Like he knows Hood's there. He's been on this mission to kill Hood because Hood killed his daughter.
Right.
And so he's been on this path of revenge for a hot minute. So he gets in there and he's like, I can sense that he's close, sees Animander, knows this notorious blade.
Okay.
And I get the sense that he's like, why did you do this? Like you know who I'm coming for.
Right.
And like you're protecting
you took him away. You hid him away, basically.
And I have to go through you
yeah.
to get what I need. Then like the little things that we're reminded of, like, what is the conversation that he had with Shadowthrone and Cotillion that could have spurred this further, that could have given him insight into something that controlled how he approached this situation. That there's a lace of that through here, but at the root of it, he's like, I can tell he's close, and by close, he's in your freaking sword, man. Why would you do this? Now I have to go through you.
Gotcha. Yeah, that tracks for me. I don't want to jump ahead too
far
and talk meta stuff, but I do feel like maybe this is an opportunity to talk meta stuff, because is it your reading that I feel like we still don't really know what Shadowthrone and Cotillion's angle is, but is it your reading that they sent the hounds? That the whole reason the hounds are attacking Darujhistan is because Shadowthrone and Cotillion wanted them to?
I get the sense that I see them sort of as catalysts, where they sort of have this awareness, and who, I forget exactly who was talking about it, being like, there's white dogs, those are bad dogs, that's going to be bad. Like there's definitely this contingent of like, because what is it, Blind and Pale have always been around, and they're like, what do you mean there's two white dogs just hanging around the other dogs? That can't be good. And so I see them as catalysts for things, and like trying to spark these reactions so that the dominoes kind of tumble in the way that they want. But it is all so precarious, and they don't really have like true control over the situation. It's not.
I agree with that, but why do you think the hounds attacked? Why did the hounds attack Darujhistan? That's my question. Is like, is it because Shadowthrone and Cotillion wanted them to be the catalyst for all of this? I
don't think that Shadowthrone and Cotillion like willed the hounds to be there. There was something. I remember reading this line and being like, I should highlight this line so I don't forget what this is about. But there's a line somewhere in the chapters that talks about the hounds almost having like a moment where they're like, Animander's here and they're seeking revenge for the time that he killed two of them, and then they happen to get out again. So it felt like they were sort of rallying themselves as like a revenge, trying to get Animander dead for the previous thing. There's something that was briefly in Hound's mind for this in the Convergence sort of lead up that led me to believe that it was more hound driven, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was like plus a little prod from Shadowthrone and Cotillion on the way.
Because my reading of what Cotillion said to Traveler that he refused is, something along the lines of what he ended up doing. Like, we want you to attack Rake. And he's like, no, I'm not doing that. And then when push came to shove, he actually did do it. And that's why later he's like, it wasn't my fault. I didn't want to do it. But that's maybe I'm sure we'll get lots of corrections from folks. But anyway, it's an amazing moment where Animander puts the sword up to block, and it literally slices into his own face and head. Incredible.
Just the description of their fight being basically like, my touchstone, like Super Saiyan fight. And anybody who is not at the right power level can't even see them moving. It's just this blur of sparks. And like every once in a while you get like a block or a parry that catches on each other for a second. So the action kind of freezes, and then they're like ripping through it again. And that moment of the block coming across, making like this perfect cross of both their blades before it's like out one way and then immediately back the other, smashing and slicing his face, and then his body like boiling away as it do when you get Dragnapurd.
I mean, I can't imagine it is a coincidence that Erikson invokes a cruciform image here, where when a godlike being sacrifices himself for the greater good, right? I can't imagine that's not intentional and that meant to evoke real world feelings that way. I'm so curious as to why Karsa, looking on, says cheated. Who do you think? Is he saying he was cheated out of seeing them fight? He was cheated in that Animander did this on purpose, or Traveler cheated, or Animander cheated? What did you make of that declaration?
The cheated declaration I made of it, that Animander cheated as though he had struck in such a particular way that he knew that the sword would come back and get him. And so rather than continue fighting through until you have everything gone in your reserves and somebody comes out on top, he's struck by his own sword that is this magical thing that sucks his soul away. So I feel like Karsa would perceive that as a cheat, like a scapegoat for if we're not ending this fight in a way that feels like an honorable warrior's battle. What was your reading?
I was uncertain. I felt like at first I thought he was saying that Traveler cheated to win, but now I'm less certain that that's his intention. I feel like he was more saying this battle was not honorably undertaken, in that both guys weren't equally trying to win. That's
the underscore of what I meant. Whether it be Traveler kind of doing this move to get Animander, and he was like, that's cheating because it's an easy death, like an easy win to get touched with that blade in that way, or Animander sort of like letting it happen in a way, or like allowing himself to sort of to succumb to it, or strategize his footwork, his swordsmanship into a space where he could get got like that. I think he doesn't perceive the fight as fair or honorable.
As a representation of what these two men actually would do in a contest of strength. Okay, so more Hounds of Light are appearing. Paladin Locke are not just the only Hounds of Light. There's a whole bunch more. Vinasera, Cast, Ultima, Jalin, Grasp, Hannes, Gate, Ginnon. A lot of them.
A lot of puppy dogs.
A lot of Hounds of Light, baby.
A lot of Hounds of Light, and these as the bad boys.
This is one of the things that I think is so fun about this series is, it zags where everybody zigs over and over and over again. But one of the big zaggings, if I may, is that darkness is good and light is evil, right? It's like the opposite of literally every fantasy story that's ever been written. And I love that it took Erikson to be like, but what if the opposite though? Like, what can we just let's enough with the light is good, dark is evilness. Let's flip it. Let's flip the script.
Yeah,
and I love it.
Which is like very, very much through these chapters, sort of the embrace of dark and the positivity found therein. Had the light, the Tist, the other ones,
Leosin.
Tist Leosin. Osric is a light guy.
Yeah, he's the light
daddy
guy.
Light.
Yeah.
I was the Hounds of Light were there, and I'm like, who are all the people that we know are kind of wrapped up in the light and this?
Well, there's that moment where I can't remember when it happens. Soon, I think, where the Hounds of Light like try to get the sword for their daddy, and it's like in the novel we hear. It is the perfect expression of justice, which is like all what Osric is. It's like justice, blind justice, which is in the context of Malazan is not always a positive thing. It is a dark, punitive and and very sort of terrifying thing.
Yeah.
So which again, I love it. It is flipping the script on all these notions that we think are sort of ingrained in fantasy storytelling.
Yeah.
Which I love that Erikson constantly does.
One of those things where I'm like, even like our experiences in these books, is there ever a time that now looking back that you could pick the person who was right, that justice would have, like the fact that the whole book is this gray area,
right?
The idea of blind justice being this hammer through everything, it feels lethal and dangerous. And
and I think that's kind of one of the themes of the novel is that anything that certainty is to be questioned, right? Certainty leads you down the wrong path, and anyone who says I am the arm of justice, I will know who is right or wrong, that person is not to be trusted. And I love that. I think it's just an incredible theme. And so it's not simply, oh, hey, let's make light bad and dark good. It actually is grounded in some real principles that make a lot of sense and resonate.
Yeah. And even, I mean, there's so many times, I don't think I've ever talked about it on the show, but the idea of like shadow being like, oh, you need the blend of these two things in order to create that particular type of darkness.
Yeah.
And what that means by way of like the beliefs or feelings of these people. It's like, you're kind of this weird middle ground. Shadow Throne doing some sus things all the time. But sometimes it seems like it's both for good.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're like, are you here for yourself? Like, what is going on? It's it feels like that middle ground in a way that I would never expect shadow to be the middle ground between darkness and light, but it just is.
That makes sense because it requires both, right? You have to have light and darkness to have shadow.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Very cool.
All right. Tula Shorn as a dragon is expressing this theme, I think, explicitly, where he's literally dodging shafts of light because light is so scary and bad. Then we have this wonderful sequence where Iskril on his mule comes face to face with Krupp on his mule, and you shall not pass my mule,
to each other.
So great.
A battle cry, and then their mules are like, oh, fine, and like slowly meander up next to each other, and then they
just slap fight, It's just a ball of goofy fighting.
Yeah, it's like old Looney Tunes. They turned into a cloud of smoke with arms and legs sticking out.
Totally. That's exactly how I imagined it. And I love how Krupp is, talking in his fun. It's awesome that these two weird talking types are now engaged with each other. Because Krupp is like, you will now face the eel, and Iskril like, fine, I'll get out of my way, I'll go find the eel. He's like, I am the eel. It's like, you're staring at the eel. It's so funny.
And then even the fact that he like lunges at him, and then Krupp kind of slips away, is immediately like, ooh, he's a slippery boy. That's the eel, all right.
Yeah. So good. They're fighting, and literally so much of this convergence is people going. So what I love about the end of this novel is like Animander knows he has to make this sacrifice, and he knows he's going to fall and leave Dragnapur available to be picked up by anybody. A lot of other people recognize that they could grab the sword and it would be a very big deal. And so there's like half a dozen contingency plans of like, okay, just make sure that person doesn't get it. Okay, also those two should definitely not get it. Okay, make sure that guy is occupied. And so there's all these like Animander, asking Spinnock to go delay Calor, Krupp deciding, hey, well, Iskril certainly can't get the sword. Like all these people realizing all I have to do is stand in the way of these people being there at that moment, because that
And-
would be titanically bad.
And fate take the rest. Whatever happens, just
Yeah.
as long. I even love, like, you get to the space, like the sisters come walking into the thing, and even they're like, all right, puppy dogs, they shouldn't have, like, everybody
Yeah.
immediately pivots into trying to just be on the defensive here. And suddenly half of the people who came to take the sword for themselves are now, backs turned in the protective mode of Animander's body.
Yeah.
Not intentionally, but for their own selfish reasons, selfish gain.
Yeah.
The visual of folks turning up and sort of being this protective ring, fighting people off, ends up being a pretty powerful visual.
Amazing. It's such a cool notion too, that Animander's like, okay, I'm going to do this, but if I do it, I'm going to need some people to like make sure nobody gets the sword. It's so good. It's so good. All right. So, we have Samar seeing Lady Envy and Lady Spite walking. The great ravens are circling. Karsa sees Crocus with the lance. He's like, well, that's weird.
This lance, this is one of the things I'm like, I should know what lance this is, right? It's getting hot in his hands. Who's freaking
we find
lance
out
is
what
it?
the lance is. It's the lance of the Segula. It's the second Segula's
yes,
lance.
yeah. I'm like, somebody picks it up.
Yeah.
I could not pull that. Thank you.
Yeah. So, and we found out books ago, we saw the second Segula drop the lance after they were killed. And so now they're in.
And Crocus picked it
in
up.
Hood's realm. They come out of Hood's realm. We're going to get to all that.
Okay, sorry.
It's okay. We can track the lance. All right. So Baruch is weeping openly about Animander Rake having died. And he's like, okay, well, I got to get going because my carriage is here with a very important person inside. VIP carriage arrived.
Yeah.
And I wonder about all that. I mean, it's very much left unsaid as to why Caladan Brood is there, but I feel like Animander was like, hey, buddy, show up, get the sword. But I don't know. That's just me headcanoning that.
There was one thing where, like, when Caladan, I don't want to pop later, but Caladan Brood appears, and I was like, Caladan's here? And then I was like, oh, yeah, he was, like, hanging out in the woods.
Yeah, that's right. He saw Traveler. And this is, I think, even more than any of the other books, which certainly stimulated this feeling in me, or this book, as soon as I finished it, I was like, I want to start back from page 1 because so much of this is going to make sense knowing what Animander's plan was. Like, seeing what happens at the end will inform all this stuff, and I'll see it in a completely different light because Caladan seeing Traveler in the woods and knowing what Animander's plan for Traveler to do to him was like,
and Caladan being like, you, like, just chill for a bit, man.
Yeah. It's gonna be heavy later on, so just hang out. Let's have some tea or whatever he does.
Yeah.
All right. So Crocus sees Animander, cannot believe that Rake is dead. Sees Traveler hunched over in the corner as well, crying. He's like, that's bad. I recognize Traveler's sword. That also is a sword that belonged to Animander Rake. 2 Animander swords. He was literally killed by both his swords.
Yeah.
And it's awesome that we are reminded also that the sword was named Vengeance and renamed Grief.
Yeah.
Which, of course, at the end of the novel, we get another button on that. And it's like, okay, how long was this planned? You know, many, many books ago, we were told this sword was called Grief, destined to kill him. Just amazing. The Hounds of Light are trying to get Dragnapur. We have this moment where somebody says, I can't remember who it is. Somebody says, like, what are they going to do with Dragnapur? Like, hold it in their little doggy mouths and wield the sword? I just, like, loved that. I think maybe it was Crocus who thought that. I can't remember who it was that thought that. So funny.
Yeah. Hounds of Light, they're like, I can't believe it. There's so many dogs. 10. We thought we'd get a bunch. 10 is so many. And then those dogs just mop the floor.
Yeah.
Get mopped.
Yeah.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
so good. I also love this exchange because Karsa's there. He sees the doggies show up. He's like, okay, I'm going to have to kill me some doggies again. And Crocus is like, I don't know if I can help you.
Carson's like, you're helping. And he's like,
Yeah.
okay, I guess I'll use this hot spear. And it's almost like he's about to start charging. He's like, yoink. And the Segula comes out and is like, I'll take that. Thanks,
I know.
brother. And he's
But
like,
it's-
oh,
that
daggers, I
exchange
guess.
that exchange that I have, he's like, hey, can I at least like know your name? And he's like, yeah, I'm Karsa Orlong. I rock. You, what's your name? And he said, he introduces himself not as Cutter, but as
Crocus
Crocus
Young Hand.
Thought that was awesome. And he says, I was once a thief. And Karsa goes, sick. Steal me a hound's life. And I was like,
Oh,
hell yeah, killer, so rad.
I think I pulled that as a favorite quote.
Oh,
I forgot
sorry,
it
did I
until
just
you said it. No, it
stomped
doesn't
all
matter.
over it?
It's so.
Such a badass moment. Yeah.
I'm like, Karsa, like prepping, like, what are you going to tell me you do? And like prepping whatever quip he can to be like, we're going to kill those guys. It's like such a funny thing to like turn that into this clever
Yeah.
bit.
Sick. So rad. He's like, well, I feel like we're both going to die here. Can I at least know your name? And he's like, my name's Karsa Orlong. I rock hard. What do you do? And he's like, I'm just a thief. He's like, yeah, you're going to be the most badass thief you've ever been today, buddy. He's just like coaching him up, you know? He's just like,
Yeah.
we're doing this.
Yeah, you gotta pump those tires, baby.
That's right. All right, so then we cut over to Spinnock, who's fighting against Calor. Just this nonstop, like hours-long standstill of a fight. Calor being, why are you doing this, dude? Why are you doing this? And we come to realize, of course, all he needed to do was stop Calor from being there. Because if Calor had gotten Dragnapur, whoo, bad things,
Real
everybody.
bad. Real
things.
bad.
But of course, Spinnock is bested by Calor, and Calor is like, you know, he's emotionally overtaken by having to do that.
He has so much respect for him and sort of adoration for him as a person and as a warrior as well.
Yeah, and he realizes, oh, he was only here to stop my progress. He was only meant to delay me.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, well, guess I'll go get a drink.
Yeah.
But then Corlat shows up. Our old friend Corlat and Orphantal show up. They're all distraught about the death of Animander Rake, but Corlat has a healing potion that was made by Endist, and she gives it to Spinnock. So in the Endist, his friend was able to save him. Endist was able to save Spinnock, the old gaming buddies.
Yeah.
He was able to actually do it, save him, you know, indirectly, but still.
Yeah.
I thought that was a beautiful little touch that was like, Endist made this, and that's why you get to not be dead.
Mm-hmm.
But Orphantal like grabs Calor and yanks him up, and Calor's like, "Argh!" What?
Yeah, sorry. I don't think they were gaming buddies. It was Seardomin who was gaming buddies.
Oh, you're right.
I think they just like
No, you're right. They were
Animander
just
was
friends.
like, make posh. You both
You're
are
right.
going to go do delays in your own zones.
Thank you for correcting me. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. You're right. Never mind.
Yeah. Anyway, they're like, anyway, dragon time.
So, yeah. Keller's being pulled up by Orphantal, and he's like, screw you, slice. Orphantal dies. And Calor's like, all right, well, another day being Calor.
Yeah, visual of him being picked up by a dragon and like flailing around and then slicing the dragon's throat in the air and then falling however far.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, like just like miles away from where you were, being like,
Yeah.
I just walked there. Like
And
Sisyphus.
It's total Sisyphus. And it's hilarious too that he's just like, well, I might as well just go get a drink. Just mad.
Thwarted again for the millionth time in eons of my existence.
So that's how chapter 23 ends. Chapter 24 starts with Endist, who is trying to hold back the arrival of light, trying to push back against light. This is the job that Animander had given him. He is, the last, what's the word I'm looking for? Bastion. Thank you. Against the light. The high priestess is watching it, doesn't understand how he can even withstand, how he's even still doing what he's doing. He's being absolutely obliterated, but still pushing back, still
because Clip walked
holding
in,
the
right?
line.
So he's there to hold Clip back, dying God back.
I don't think so. I think this is literally the light, which I don't think. Well, maybe it is.
This
the
is
dying
the scene,
God.
Yeah, Clip walks in and he's like, ka-ting, ka-ting, ka-ting.
Right.
He's like, sup, losers. And then he unleashes waves and waves of energy that is like God-like energy, dying God. So like literally the power of a God forced upon Endist.
Yeah.
Right? Endist, and he's still withstanding, and he's like retreating into his mind and trying to find safe space. And this is where Endist starts thinking of Seardaman, I believe. So he's there, and he's I hope that I'm getting these right. He like hearing himself experiencing this, and he's like uncontrollably laughing. He's like,
well, we haven't gotten quite there yet.
Yeah,
but
okay,
that will happen.
But it's Clip's onslaught to him that is what he's withstanding. I don't know if Clip is releasing light. I assumed he was releasing darkness magic because he's Clip, or like Kellic magic.
Well, I believe, isn't the moon, like there's so much light from the moon because it's shattered that it is literally attacking the night dome of Black Coral. And Endist is in the Temple of Dark, and Rake had asked him to hold back the light to save the city. So if light pierces the dome of Black Coral, it will literally undo Black Coral because it won't be dark anymore.
So I think he is doing that like more by ritual, and then Clip comes in and is trying to slice and dice him. So the actual onslaught that he's bearing is not the light, but is Clip. But he is also doing that, or was doing that when Clip came in.
I don't think that's true. We could be wrong. I think that Clip is using the light's onslaught as in an opportunistic way, but I'm not really sure. We can be corrected.
Yeah.
All right. So we're back to inside Dragnapur. Absalara is, using her plan to freeze her chains. It's an amazing description of like her hands are crumpled and turning black from the cold, but she's, pushing the chains in there, and then she hears them snap. And then she hears this familiar voice in her head that tells her to steal the eye of a god, because she is now free from the chains. No one has ever done that before.
She's like, what do I do? And they're like, cut that guy's eyes out.
Yeah.
That's always my first thought.
So then we have this incredible battle sequence with the armies of the dead versus the armies of chaos inside Dragnapur. The Grey Swords fighting, Bruchalion fighting, the Segula fighting, Iskar Jurak and the Bridge Burners fighting, dragons literally falling from the sky. Incredible stuff. Just I thought that sequence was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Talk the Younger is on this undead Wiccan horse that is, it's not really a war horse, but still like ready, just down for everything.
Yeah.
Just awesome. He wants to fight alongside the bridge burners. He sees some old characters, Trots, Datorian. He's like, Whiskey Jack. Why is he calling himself Iskar Jurak? This is all it's Whiskey Jack. And he's like, I'm ready, let's go. And the horse is like, nope, I'm going over here. And he's like, but the fight is wait. And the horse takes him to Hood, and Hood is like, hey, Talk, no fighting for you. I need you to deliver a message for me.
He's like, you're my, what is this? What is like
my
his
herald.
title? Hey, my herald. Hey, herald, you got a job to do.
You want me to announce your nuptials? Who's the lucky lady?
Yeah.
It's like, no, not that kind of herald. And he's like, okay, here's the message. And then like a dragon falls out of the sky as he's like like interrupting them. He's like, okay, hang on a second. Literal dragon just fell from the sky. And then the Trigal carriage arrives, which is the thing I'd been waiting for, because we had not checked in on the carriage and all of our wacky friends there. And I love that it shows up inside Dragnapur. The way it shows up is awesome. Glano like pulling the brakes, and nobody had strapped themselves down, so they all like
fly off.
Yeah, so funny. And, like the way he sees each of them fall, he's like, oh, she's hot when she falls, and Gruntle like landing like a cat, it's like, ha!
I like that it said all fours. Meow.
No, it was awesome. It's so from Glano's POV, where he's just like, meow.
There's the cat lady. There's the
Yeah.
sexy lady. Wait, cat man, sexy lady.
Yeah. And then the fun note about how Ambi and Jula are like hugging each other in the air, and then they hit the ground, and until the ground came between them. I was like, oh, what a great turn of phrase.
I also love the girl that they love is in the carriage. Yeah, but the idea that they're like so enamored with each other just as bros now, dudes rule is like such a sweet thing. They're
nothing could come between them except the ground. It was just awesome. It's such a great thing. And then we have this awesome moment where, Hood walks up and is like, "Hey, cartographer, thanks for coming, bro." And he's like, "Yeah, sorry I'm late." And it's like, oh, this was all contrived to get them here.
Cartographer, where are we going? I don't know, but I know that I'll get us there.
I don't know. I mean, wherever this, who knows? Let's just all. Does anybody want to follow my road?
It just makes so much. It makes sense, but it also is sort of ridiculous to think that, like, the warren is inside Dragnapur. Yeah. And I'm like, but people travel between warrens all the time. Is it just that warren sucks, and so people don't go into it?
Yeah.
But then
I think
being
that's
like,
it. I think
they're
the
warren
only people
travelers,
crazy
and they
enough
went into the sword warren, like, makes sense, and is
Yeah.
like makes sense why they, as you were just saying, are the only people crazy enough to actually try to do that for any reason. Yeah.
So Hood has to like leverage the only people, the plan's just crazy enough to work. Like the people, he has to leverage them to get them here. The only thing that I am not 100% clear on, and maybe you can clarify for me, is it a swerve? Is Erikson swerving us that we're supposed to think that he was contriving Gruntle to be there, but it was all a swerve? Like, that's not what he needed at all. Because we have this moment where Gruntle's like, oh yeah, I'm here. Oh, they need a champion. They need to get the last man standing. I'm going to take down and they're like, nope, get back in the carriage. We're leaving. It felt to me like a swerve where we're supposed to think that Hood contrived all of this to get Gruntle there, but actually it was all just to escort Talk out, or the Segula and Talk out, right?
And Apsalara.
Right.
I didn't think of it as necessarily a swerve at all, because there's just, other than the one moment when Gruntle's suddenly there, I'm like, oh yeah, this dude fights.
Yeah.
He's going to be great in this battle. I think that to me, I'm like, there's a grander story, as we can suspect, with Mappo. And like buddy duo Mappo and Traveling Bro, insert Traveling Bro here, that it is the escort journey. It's always been the escort journey. So I actually I didn't even think, oh, Gruntle's supposed to be in this fight at all, until he was there, and I was like, oh, maybe he's gonna fight, and then he didn't, and I was like, okay. So I didn't feel swerved personally, but I never felt like he was intending on getting there. Well, I really thought him and Mappo were now just like new duo.
Well, the whole reason that Hood went through all of this, getting cartographer there, like all of that was just to escort Talk out, right?
Because they're the only ones who can do it.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's just to get Talk out to deliver the message.
As far as I can tell.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So Gruntle has that moment where he's like, oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be the only one. And they're like, no, get back in. We're leaving. And meanwhile, Draconis, he gives us, I think, some insight into all of this because he remembers the forging of Dragnapur, and its entire purpose was to be a trap for chaos. This is the repository of all the chaos, and that's why this whole problem is. So my interpretation in retrospect, and this was sort of explicitly laid out, but I didn't gather it because I didn't understand the stakes until now, is that Anamender said, no more killing. No, I'm not using Dragnapur to harvest any more souls. Not doing it. And that was causing it to lose its structural integrity, right?
Yeah.
It was going to burst and let all of the chaos out. And so he said, all right, rather than kill anyone else, I am going to literally, he went over to Hood and was like, hey, Hood, we got to do something about this or chaos will literally destroy everything. And Hood is like, sweet, I'm down. All you got to do, I don't like this job anyway. All you got to do is kill me, put me in Dragnapur. I'll bring all death. We'll fight. And then Anamander's like, okay, but it's going to take more than that. I'm going to actually have to get in there myself and sacrifice myself to hole up the Corral Demerlane portal that's at the bottom of the wagon, right?
Yeah.
That's the whole plan.
Yeah, well, I think like the whole plan is chaos seeking Corral Demerlane as like as a throne, as a warren to consume. And so I think they put that in there for safekeeping, and chaos followed it in to be like, I'm chasing that thing. I'm still trying to get to this, the heart of darkness, which is actually sort of a heart of goodness in a way, and trying to consume that sort of mindlessly. And so they put it in there for, it felt like safekeeping. And then now chaos is like fully trapped, kind of beaten back. And they're like, the only thing we can do now is to avoid it, getting it, is to sort of remove it again, which we'll get to later. Okay. So I think it's like the plan of this, it seems like even longer before whenever the sword got created, was almost, to me, like with the context of the whole book, seems like a space of protection, despite it seeming like a place that is nasty and bad.
Yeah, I think that it was to separate chaos from any of the other realms, to keep chaos in this sort of purgatory.
But chaos's only objective was to sort of take the heart of like the throne, the heart of this warren, which I assume is like a throne.
Right.
In there.
And it seems like Bellerdan, aka the dying god, saw an opportunity to steal that power and unleash chaos, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so we get this amazing description of how Dragnapur was forged, which one of the things I love, I think we had a non-spoiler question recently about like what are the things that just automatically make you excited when it happens in a book. One of the things I love is like sick fantasy forging tales, what it took to forge the great weapon,
it's almost like it's like science, but the science is battles that had to be lost and lives sacrificed. Yeah.
What it takes to make this super special. What this
alchemy.
Yes. What this ring, what this amulet, what this sword, what this helm, whatever this, why is it so special? Well, let me tell you how it was made. Forged in the fires of Mount Doom, that kind of thing. This one, of course, Dragnapur, sick, forged in the fire of Burn's very heart, using every kind of metal that has ever been, made of countless chains that are folded one atop the other. Sick. Hammered using Burn's hammer that Caladan Brood now carries. Incredible.
Amazing.
The blackwood of Carcanus Forest making the wagon forming a door above the portal that holds the soul of Corral Ghislaine that binds darkness itself. Just like, the detail. I love it.
It's excellent detail. And there's also something very charming to me about being like, we're building a sword and the wagon. And then we're going to get the wagon in the sword after. It's like step 3.
Yeah. So Draconis is like, he feels Absolara's breaking of the chains. He's like, that's never happened before. That's bad. I gotta go fight. And Hood's like, whoop, bro, not you, buddy. Not right now. It's not your time, buddy. And by the way, somebody wants your forgiveness. And Draconis is like, my forgiveness?
From widow me?
What? Who would want that? And then the Segula, the second Segula, I don't know if it's here or if it's earlier, but one of my favorite details that happens in here is when all the Segula are fighting, and they're fighting so hard that their masks melt, like the paint melts off their masks. And so no longer are they ranked one against the other. They're all the same.
I loved that. And like the realization happening while they're fighting, all of them at the front lines of this war against chaos itself, the paint melting off, and all of them looking at each other and being like, hey, we're all doing something pretty good here. We're doing it pretty good. We're bros. I'm
not better than you. You're not better than me. We're bros.
Yeah.
Such a cool idea. So the second Segula is summoned by Hood. He's like, hey, I got one last thing I need you to do. Just follow that carriage, that the Trigal carriage, and I think you'll find something fun on the other side. And then you can go off and hunt the guy you want to hunt. And he's like, sweet, and he rides off.
I like this is like the sassy Segula, right? It's the one who's like, all right, everybody listen to me. Yeah, I'm going to kill that guy. Maybe later. He's like...
yeah, I know. It's funny. He talks in a way that you don't expect from the way the Segulas are like stoic and silent. Yeah. He's like, yeah, you're right. But then it's such a fun moment, and you kind of referenced this earlier, where he like, we cut back to, Drood stand outside Dragdapur, and Crocus is like, I got this lance. Let's see what happens. And the guy's like, yoink, my lance, bro. Thanks for holding on to it for me.
Crocus being like, I guess I'm going to try and use this lance. I've never used a lance before. Weird weapon. But
yeah, he takes
it. He's like, those little daggers.
Now I've got knives. It's like, oh, this is somehow worse.
Looking at a 3-story dog.
Yeah, he's like, guess I'll do my best. So then there's this epic sequence where it's just ripping hounds to shred. Karsa, the second Segula, stabs, throwing javelins.
There's like the beat where they're like, okay, are we gonna charge? And it seems like everybody's like waiting for Karsa to do something. And then when the Segula comes out and yoinks the lance, he doesn't stop. He keeps running, and then Karsa's like, I'm gonna back that guy up, and like the battle is on. And
it's so rad.
Like immediately kill 3 dogs within like 1 second. And I'm like, these hounds are light. Who was talking about them being so bad, so threatening?
Well, we have literally the seconds. Like the Segula are a battle culture where, if you're the second, you're like one of the greatest fighters to ever walk the earth. And then you have Karsa Orlong, who we know is supreme badass. So it's like, yeah, I get it. There's the only guys that can take down these hounds.
Yeah.
So, and Crocus is like, I've got daggers. But then we have Barathol running out, holding his 2-handed axe. He sees the very hound that had knocked Char unconscious. He's like, dude, it's one's mine. Such a cool moment. Swings his axe, slices through its jaw. We have one of them literally grabbing on to Animator Rake's corpse and like whipping it around. Such a cool moment.
The thing I love also about Barathol running out there and chopping it, and like again sort of showing the power of difference of these people. You have Karsa the Segula going and like killing 3 hounds by looking at them, and then he chops it and you're like, oh, he's a badass too. But then the hound is like, and like hits him still with his chest, and the force of it still knocks him back and like out of the fight.
Yeah. Yeah, you know that Barathol is really outmatched, but he's just so blind with rage and, vengeance for his fallen friend that he puts himself into a situation he should never have been in and kind
Yeah.
of gets lucky, it seems to me,
Yeah.
yeah.
But like we've not actually seen him fight, and there's just sort of like these rumors swirling around him.
Yeah.
That it does feel like, oh, maybe he can keep up. Oh, no, he's a guy. He's just a guy.
Yeah, he's just a guy.
A guy who's feeling a lot of feelings.
And then we have the Tula Shorn in dragon form coming down and just grabbing one in each claw and then one in his mouth.
Oh,
he's
yeah.
He's like, I got 3. And he's like, what am I going to do with these things? I'll just drop them, I guess.
And he's like, pretty satisfying, actually.
He's like, actually, that was a pretty rad plan. I like that. Oh, by the way, I don't know how many rads I've said, but this is a rad sequence. There you go. So drink, everybody. So Samar's watching the dragon like take 3 hounds out of the picture. This is the moment where Traveler's like, it wasn't my fault. I didn't mean to do. I had no choice. And then another hound comes at her. Traveler like protects her with his body as stuff is falling, shrapnel's falling, buildings falling on top of them. And that old bear that had been following her shows up. Sick moment.
So great. Big old God of War coming in to your rescue. Don't mind if I do.
Yeah.
Mutually assured destruction between the bear and the wolf that was fighting.
Amazing. Yeah.
Fantastic. And then doesn't Samar immediately sort of react and like go over to the bear's body? And
yes, she does. She takes her knife, which can steal
baby
souls.
Dragnipur.
Yeah, totally. Her little witch knife, and he's like, "I'll save your soul by sticking it in my knife." So I feel like that's going to come back, and maybe next book.
Oh yeah,
I'm excited for that. But yeah, I mean, basically, we see all these hounds getting taken down by Karsa, by the Segula, and then 2 more Teblor women show up with a dog,
with a puppy dog.
It's the Orlong family.
Oh, it's one of those things where like, I guess it's been a minute.
Yeah,
it's been like a long time on the road.
There's a whole novel of like these 2 young Teblor girls, like, we're gonna find daddy, and like setting off with the dog, and just wild adventures that they had on their way.
And it's also just one of those things that like Karsa talks about going home and like seeing his people and changing hearts and minds or whatever, or like riding them into battle. But you're like, there's at least a part of me that's like, what's home looking like? Are there still people actually back there? Like, how long has it been? And then this is the first time where like somebody from Karsa's home, or at least a neighboring tribe that he previously destroyed, it's like, oh, well, I guess they still exist back there.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Also the little puppy dog that we recall from when he like leapt out of the tree and dominated that dog and it became his dog. And we were with that dog for so long. And then he sent it off. I can't remember what he sent it off to do, but it was like to go warn his tribe, right?
Something like that.
Yeah. Anyway, it's cool that the doggy was back. I was like, oh, the doggy's back. All right. And then we check in with Envy and Spite, who are like, all right, they're fighting against Hounds of Shadow as well. They're going to go get the sword for themselves. And then this carriage pulls up, a door opens. They look inside and they're like, maybe we don't need the sword. We're cool. Like,
I've never loved swords. Like a little much for me. I'm definitely more like a mage type of.
In fact, we don't even need to be here. There's other stuff we could be doing right now. Let's just leave. So rad. I had no idea who was in that carriage. I should have been able to put it together, but I had no idea.
I also had no idea.
Well, I'm glad.
That's why I was like, Caladan. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Checks out.
So then Iskarol Pust realizes that he's fighting by himself, that Krupp like left. It's totally that cartoon that you were talking about, where it's like the scrum, the cloud of legs and arms, and then one of the characters just leaves and the cloud stays, and then that character's like, wait a second.
He's like so the hyena from The Lion King that's chewing on its own leg.
Yeah, exactly. And then, Mogora is there, like biting him with hundreds of spider bites. And he's like,
And he's
So
fighting with
funny.
hundreds of spider bites. And he's like, you bit me a million times. She's like, wasn't me, actually. He's like, yeah, it's spider bites. And she's like, well, what do you expect me to do?
She's like, let's go back and have babies. He's like,
I love the way you fought yourself. Let's maybe make something of this.
So Picker is standing there as the Trigal carriage shows up. Talk following it. He's like, hey, so glad I found you. You're the torque bearer, right? And she's like, well, I mean, at one point I was.
She's like, no, absolutely. I guess for a bit. Why?
Yeah. He's like, well, I need you. I need to find all the gods of war. All the gods of war. We rounded them up. And she's like, well, I need to find this big bad barbarian fella, and I need to tell him something and lead him to war. And Talk's like, okay, cool. All you got to do is drink the blood and you can leave. And she's like, which blood do I drink?
He's like, I think you know. And she's like, I really don't. But I guess I just have to trust that and pick
Eeny,
one.
meeny, miny, mo, I guess. So inside Dragnapur, now we get to part 2 of Animander's plan.
Mm-hmm. Planamander.
Planamander. He is. The tattooed bodies, the heap of bodies on the wagon that Kataspala had been tattooing to create the child god. He is standing atop these bodies, on top of the gate of darkness. He sees, there's an entire army of chaos around him. He sort of evokes the blood of Tiem. I'm not really clear on how that works, but
activates his
like
blood in his
blood
body.
Go. Yeah.
Blood.
And the tattoos start swarming and rising up and becoming this multifaceted 3-dimensional thing, which was a sick image as well.
Mm-hmm.
But in typical Erikson fashion, not so easy. Not so. Even then, we have another impediment, someone else's machinations. All these people planning for this moment. It's just an amazing thing. An amazing thing of this convergence of all these different people's long-term planning. Kataspala is like, yes, I hate that guy.
Time for this.
So much. He put me in this dumb sword. I hate him.
Time for the stabbies.
He killed my sister. All I did my whole time, all of my tattooing is to create one god to do one thing. You have one job. And that is stab.
Stab, stab. Stabbies.
Stab. Baby stabber. Child stabber. But before we get to that, we have another moment where Black Coral is being assaulted by a storm of light from the shattered moon.
Mm-hmm.
Rain of the dying blood, the dying gods, Kellic evil rain.
Yeah.
Endist is like, man, that rake, it would be so sweet if like he could help right now. but I got to do this all myself.
Mm-hmm. This is the scene I think I was thinking of. Well,
not quite yet.
Earlier.
Pretty
oh
soon.
My goodness!
I know we check in a couple of times before it happens. But we actually head over to another moment that I did not see coming, but I just love is Monkrat and Spindle, who decide they got to save the kids.
Yep.
Spindle getting his hero moment. He'd been the butt of jokes for 3 books.
Mm-hmm.
Hero moment for Spindle being like, no, not today, Monkrat. No, these kids aren't dying on my watch today.
But then he, also has his own sinister note and like the balance of like the pendulum swinging too far. These kids aren't dying today. And in fact, we're going to go down there and we're going to bring those guys up here and we're going to slit their throats in front of the children so the children know. And Monkrat being like, we're not doing that, dog.
No, other way around.
No.
Uh,
And then Spindle's like, Monkrat, you were saying this yesterday that you wanted to do this. And Monkrat's like, but then you brought me up here to meet these kids and they
Oh, you're
changed my
right.
perspective.
Sorry. I had it backwards. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Spindle is like, yeah, show these kids that we did this for them. And
What
he's like, "No, they're not
vengeance
gonna-"
looks like.
Yeah. They're not going to understand that. They're
He's
just
like,
going to see this horrible thing and it's going to further scar them.
It's just
And
more trauma.
Spindle in his hair suit is like, trauma?
Mommy?
Mommy? Yeah, an amazing moment, I thought. Here's what I kept thinking was going to happen, because he keeps saying, Monkrat is like, you redeemed me, my redemption. I'm going to have my redemptive moment. I was like, Monkrat is Squint. Monkrat's going to be Squint.
Oh.
Doesn't happen, but I thought for sure a former bridge burner. Like, I thought it was going to be the guy who had all the guilt for killing Coltane.
But
no.
Even like in this, well, I think it's later when we actually check in with the Redeemer. No. But yeah, it's their little debate and even them sort of swirling around what like the actual right justice is and what the right just how
Revenge?
to actually feel like you're doing the right thing and giving people the opportunity to move on. Just their debate about it and what matters, and seeing the kids and realizing like, hey, next generation, they just need some peace.
Yeah.
They just need some peace.
Yeah. No more killing in front of them, please. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Loved that. And he also, Monkrat saying, hey, Spindle, there could have been a lot of ways that you went about this, but literally just like kicking me in the nuts and saying, get out there, let's do this, was what I needed.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't need to be inspired by a god. I don't need to be, I just kick me in the butt and say, get off your ass and do it.
I need a reality check.
All right. So finally, here we are at the scene you were talking about.
Sorry.
Because no, not at all. It's a lot. Clip arrives at the Temple of Dark. He is going to deliver vengeance, and thinks the dying god will reward him.
He is going to deliver vengeance, but he's also, as he's climbing the steps, starting to get a sense that something's wrong. Like the person, Rake, who he came to sort of deliver vengeance upon, something's awry. And he gets to the temple and he's like, Reiki boy. And Endist is like, wrong number, sorry.
Rake's already dead, bro. Sorry.
And then Endist. So Endist is in there already struggling to hold back the light, as you mentioned earlier. But then Clip comes in and kind of in a fit of rage is like sees Endist as this blocker between him and Rake and sort of in a fit of rage of being like, I'm still going to get through something, even if Rake isn't here or Rake is already gone, and unleashes waves and waves and waves of sorcery. Yeah. And this is the thing that the priestess looks on and is like, how is he withstanding this moment? Yeah. And then we have like a lot of inside Endist POV trying to just get through it. Yeah.
And also the upshot of this is that Clip is then possessed by the dying god. And it becomes this vessel. And the dying god kind of has this moment where he's like, Clip isn't the end game. He's just a placeholder until I actually can take over inside Itkovian, the Redeemer.
Yeah.
Like that's the dying god's idea, is like, I'm going to get me a real good body to be inside. And, his champion, Sir Domin, is losing that battle as well. So as soon as that resolved, I'm going to discard this Clip person and jump into the Redeemer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like that even the dying god is like, ugh, this dude I'm possessing, what a ween.
He sucks. Everybody thinks Clip sucks. All right, so Nimander, hand in hand with Aranatha. Except, has it been Aranatha the whole time? He's like, oh,
she's different.
Something's going on with her. And she's like, you have to defend me, Nimander. You're the only one left. You have to defend me. This is another reason why I want to like reread this book immediately, is like all the Aranatha stuff just feels like it was telling you the whole time. Because everybody's like, wow, she's crazy. She knows stuff. Like she doesn't act like herself.
Well, the thing that seemed like really clear is I don't know if I'd be able to go back and like pinpoint and predict this being the case.
Right.
But what was clear is that she'd be out of it. And then there'd be like a surge of magic. And then she would be more in it with a bunch of knowledge. And then she would dip back out of it again,
Yeah.
which I think is the most evocative part, is that just there's something reaching through her that is bigger than herself.
Right.
But I don't know if I ever would have been able to go back and put the pieces together and be like, I know exactly who that is.
Agreed. Yeah. So we check in with Sir Domin, who is also under assault from Celind, is crying and laughing, and then has this realization of like, it wasn't me laughing, it was her laughing. This is bad. Yeah.
Something about the names Endist, Sir Domin, and Spinock spin around in my brain. They're all like these helpers.
Yeah.
So I find their scenes kind of go in my brain together. But
Yeah.
he hears himself laughing and like he is picturing the Warhammer that he's playing against Endist, and he's like, he thinks he's laughing and being like,
no, he plays against Spinock.
Against Spinock, being like Spinock, laughing like I'm laughing because like this victory that we have, like this is this last joy of like this is the final fight like that we'd have in these battles. And then he opens his eyes, he's like, wait, I'm not laughing, I'm weeping.
Yeah.
And Spinock, you're laughing at me now as I'm failing again, another failure, another loss to you. Because he never got good enough to like beat him in the game. And so he just perceives this last moment as a final failure on his part, despite being another person withstanding well beyond what anybody ever thought that they could withstand.
Right. And Celind is doing her like spinny arm assault with just like slicing him up, severing limbs off of Sir Domin. It's just, horrific.
Mm-hmm.
So back inside Dragnapur, everyone stops because Animander is standing there on top of this massive pile of bodies. Literally, like the armies of chaos are like, what's going to happen next?
Wait, he's in here?
Yeah.
Seems bad.
Yeah. And this cage of tattoo is surrounding him. Cataspal is like, yes, child god, yes, stab, do it, stab. And Ditch is like, excuse me, no, let's not do that. I love how this goes down too, where Ditch is this child god. It's this sort of immature,
has not a fully formed thought.
Yes, right. Sort of nascent creature that is just like, well, okay, well, do I just stab it? And Ditch is like, just FYI, Animander's not doing anything for himself. He's kind of doing something selflessly and being, thinking about other people. And Child God is like, that sounds great. I'll do that too.
I like the idea of being nice. I'll do a good stab and
Yeah.
not a bad stab.
Stab for peace. And what's that? You ever see Mars Attacks? Where he's like, it brings us love, kill it.
Yeah.
Anyway. So I loved that, where it literally what persuades it is just, hey, have you ever thought about not being selfish? Just a beautiful notion where the child god is like, well, hey, not being selfish does sound pretty great.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty awesome. And in fact, I respect other people that are not selfish, and I'm going to do something for them.
Mm-hmm.
So it stabs Cataspala instead. And then Absalara shows up. She's like, hey, I'm here to take your eye. And
Yeah,
Ditch is like, yeah, do it. Okay.
Heard there was a eyeball up here. Such a funny Absalara climbing up there. Like, very strange, the picture I have her being like, her coming up and getting, and then being like, catch, think fast. And then just piecing out again is like, What are you doing?
It's so funny. When she's just like, hey, Animander, eyeball. And he's like, it says he catches it one-handed.
I
Where he's just like,
know.
donk. So cool. So the tattoo pattern passes into the gate of darkness. Animander literally dissolves away, sort of feeding the strength of the gate itself.
Mm-hmm.
Second sacrifice in one day. Like Animander Rake sacrifices more time in one day than you and I will ever sacrifice. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And Corralled Ghislaine is reinforced with his essence. And Draconis is like, was he? I understand now what he was doing, and the fact that he was going to ask me for forgiveness. He's the best. He's the best guy. He's just the best guy.
He would not need to ask me for forgiveness. We all need to ask him, but now it's too late.
Yeah. And he's like, man, I wish his mom was here to see this. She would be so proud.
Mummy? Maybe she was never gone.
And then we get back to Clip, who's standing over Endis's body and like, yeah, it's my time. Flippity, flippity. Wait, what? What just changed? The rain literally stops midair and freezes and then falls and shatters to the ground. And he's flipping his little thing and it slices his finger off.
Like you're losing this thing after spinning it around like such a jerk for like books.
Yeah.
And then now you get what you deserve in that way.
So
but
satisfying.
from Endis, or Endis, he's standing over Endis, and the thing that allows Endis to hold on is, I think there's this beautiful moment of sort of like the push and the pull of Endis thinking the only thing that would get me through is the idea of the river. That river whose name that I can't think of right now, but I think starts with a K.
I thought it started with a D, but we both could be right.
He's got the river and he's picturing reaching down and putting his hand into the river and wanting to feel the cool darkness of that water, and him reaching down.
Dorsun Ryle. Dorsun Ryle is the name of the water.
That's the name of the water?
Dorsun Ryle.
What's the name of the city?
Black Coral?
The city that had the river that was Kapar. We all know. We all get it.
Anyway, go ahead.
But he's reaching down, and I picture him like huddled, all of his energy gone to fighting the light and now fighting this onslaught from Clip, and like physically, emotionally, spiritually reaching down and pulling out from that warren as Animander is pushing the last of his life and the last of his force to have him actually be the thing that is pulling the heart of darkness out of the warren and back into reality. And that visual of him in the temple with this warren being this realm kind of below, around, reaching for the river, and being now having the heart of darkness emerge through him was just so cool. And so the heart of darkness is emerging through Endis' body on the ground in the temple, and Clip is like, what that? And then his finger gets sliced off, and I'm like, yeah, get what you deserve.
So rad. And meanwhile, Namander is seeing all this with Arnatha, and she's like, my son. And he's like, you're what now?
What? Mm-hmm.
Who did you say?
Grandmama.
Is that grandmama? Yeah. She says, my son, I accept. I think that's the forgiveness, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they had a real falling out, and it's mom and son like making up because he did something real special and saved everybody.
Mm-hmm.
It's beautiful.
Nice.
Beautiful. Yeah. And that is further reinforced because cut back to Celind killing Sir Doman as Itkovian just watching, and he realizes, oh, mom and son made up. That's what true redemption is. Not like my own kind of sort of shortcut to redemption that I've been giving people. This is actually earned. This is actually something I can learn from. I don't have to go into the dark. I can just walk over to Celind, embrace her, and let it be okay.
Mm-hmm.
And what an amazing moment, because it's like the dying god's like, wait, what? Just like compassion? Just niceness?
We
I
can
don't
just
know how to handle it. No.
we can just do hugs.
Yeah. Yes, the power of hug destroys the dying god.
And just the delay for enough people to have enough time to process that, like these three sort of pillars of the names that I keep spinning around, but Seerdomen, Endist, and Spinnock.
Yeah.
Just providing enough time for people to process, to pause, to be held off, and then being able to see the Ickovian, the Redeemer, go and give hugs. Well, Seerdomen, like, very unceremoniously is like, yeah, his corpse fell away, his arms are all chopped up, and then now they come in for huggies.
Well, that's why I think rereading this novel would be so rich, is because so much of it, of the Endist scenes, of the Spinnock scenes are
pontificating about this.
Yes, of Animander, I don't think I'm up to it. I don't think I can do it. I don't think I can handle it. Animander going, you can. And because we don't know what that is, I always felt like, man, I'm not really connecting with these scenes that much. Okay, so it's a big deal. Like, he's a big, bad, awesome man. But I feel like they all knew what he was planning. They all knew he was going to sacrifice himself. Mm-hmm. And it was all, so I feel like revisiting that, it's going to be so much different. Understanding where it's all, what they're actually talking about.
They all knew he was sacrificing himself. And then they also all knew that in his own way, he was asking them to do the same.
Right.
And so they're like, I can't do it. And he's like, you can. And then how do you be like, I can't do it, knowing that he's going to go do that?
Right.
It's like the fact that he is having that same sacrifice that he's doing, and twice, baby, twice. Like the true death, not the into the ghost army death. Like, he really is. You can't look at somebody and be like, if he wasn't going to do it and he was just asking them to sacrifice themselves for him, I think it'd be a different dynamic. But the fact you can't argue with that. It's hard to say, I cannot possibly do the thing that you're about to do for all of us too.
Well, so much of, I think the imagery, the lesson of this novel is this guy who is teaching by example in a lot of ways, like everybody going, oh, he's the greatest of us. He's the best of us. He does what none of us could do. He's so much better than we are. And him at every turn going, no, it is within your capability as well. Mm-hmm. And that I will show you the way, but I'm not going to do it for you. Mm-hmm. I'm doing it with you. I'm doing it because of you. I am not better than you. I am just one of you. And I think that is it's sort of this beautiful sentiment of, showing, unleashing within the everyday people what they are capable of. Yeah. Everyday people being, these incredibly powerful. Anyway.
Yeah, it's just your totally run-of-the-mill, average, uber powerful Tistandy.
Been alive for thousands of years, living in a city of pure darkness. Just normal, everyday people.
Tuesday.
All right, so chaos disappears from within Dragnapur.
Because it has no goal.
That's right. Amazing. Draconis and Hood are still chained to the wagon, but most of the chained are dead. So many people have dead. Of the dead are dead. The dead are dead. Mm-hmm. Dead. Whiskey Jack sees that the bodies are no longer tattooed. The tattoo has dissipated. And Hood says there's one final act that's out of Rake's hands. And Whiskey Jack is like, that's stupid, Hood. And Hood's like, yeah, you're right. All right. So we got a lot to go. We're coming up on time. So much of this book. So much. This ending is amazing. All right. So Barathol and Ansi, everybody's kind of in the aftermath of the city of danger sort of having survived all of this onslaught of the hounds and everything, we have this awesome moment where Karsa and Samar and the two Teblar girls are there, and she's like, so those are your daughters, huh? And she's like, you want to say anything to him? He's like, I don't know anything to say. Maybe at some point. He's just like deadbeat dad.
I just like, so those are your daughters, huh? And he's like, yeah, I raped a woman. And she's like, oh, nice.
Yeah, she's like, sweet. Remember when I was like super into you? Not so much anymore.
And he's like, it was a different time. It was a different time. That was like our tribal culture. It was my right. And she's like, all right. And he goes, and I was young. And she's like, is that regret? And he's like, what do I say to my kids? Just I love that sort of
incredible
through that.
Yeah, incredible. But the door opens, and guess who gets out of the carriage? It's Caladan Brood. And he's like, yeah. I love how he picks up Dragonpour and like tosses it into the carriage.
I love that. So unceremonious. Yeah. But it's also like it's so interesting, like the weight of it has been released. Not only it's like all the bodies of it are like dead, but Chaos was like, I'm bored, and like dissipates. So even with Hood and Whiskey Jack and whoever else is still inside of it, he's just like, ting.
Yeah. But it's also it's amazing. Like everybody's been trying to get this thing, and he just like tosses it like garbage into the
picture of like just like stepping on the husk of the body, like wrenching it out, like sort of sawing it out of there,
pulling it out of the face. Yeah, incredible.
And it's interesting because I was like, oh man, but he's already got a big crazy weapon, full of responsibility and. The weight, the burden of responsibility. Yeah. How is he going to lift? But one of them's just kind of like a dangerous weapon now.
Yeah. Well, then he puts Animate. He's like, hey, help me with this guy to Berthel. And Berthel's like, okay, I'll pick up the greatest human baby that's ever lived. Whatever, not human, obviously, but anyway, so he picks him up, puts him on the ox cart, who again makes another appearance, amazing, the ox cart, and leads this procession through Darujhistan, thousands of people coming out, great ravens swirling in the air, this amazing moment where everyone realizes what Anamana has done. We cut briefly to Kalor just drinking in a bar, like, this sucks.
Can you believe a dragon?
Yeah. So then we we're sort of like denouement, wrapping things up back into Cruel's bar. Blend and Duerker are there. Duerker's like, hey, Picker woke up and left a little while ago. Maybe we should. She's like, you just missed her.
And Blend's like, what do you want? He's like, she'll be back.
Yeah,
she'll be back.
Let's just chill. Hang on. Meanwhile, like the bells are ringing in the city, and everybody's like, enough with the bells.
Enough with the bells. They're like, didn't we take down that bell? They're like, yeah, we put it downstairs. I did not. Was it being rung by the ghosts?
I did not register what that was supposed to mean either. I know it's like it landed like a big moment. Like we put the bell down, we took the bell off, and I was like, well, okay, who put it back on? I didn't catch it.
Was it being rung by the guys who died down there?
Oh, interesting. I don't know.
I don't know.
Somebody will clarify that for us, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I think we both just whiffed on it, but it did feel like a big moment of like them going, the bell's not supposed to even be there. So Picker arrives to tell Karsa her big message. I love this moment where she walks up and she's like, hey girl, what's up? I need to talk to him, but like you and me later. Let's like, I don't know. You look cool.
I know.
And then Samar's like, all right. She's like, why don't you go get yourself a drink? Tell him that Picker sent you.
Sorry.
Get some breakfast.
And maybe have a bubble bath and like maybe get scrubbed down a little. And Samar's like, maybe I won't say no.
She's like, I've heard worse suggestions. But she's like, oh, okay. So Karsa, I need to tell you this. All right. Hey, don't leave the city. And he's like, oh, I want to leave city. And she's like, no. If you leave the city, you won't be able to fulfill your vow. Karsa, make many vow. And she's like, yeah, but like real important one. You got to kill a god. And he's like, okay, All
Oh,
right.
that.
That one.
Wow.
All right. Sick. Sweet. All right. Okay, I'd do that. So Caladan takes Animander Rake's body, creates a barrow, giant barrow, stamps a glyph, meaning grief on it. I was like, mwah, chef's kiss.
He said
grief.
he's going to go make a barrow. And he's like, I'm doing it alone. Nobody's helping me with this. This is my,
Yeah.
but then everybody follows him out in
Watches.
the procession, watches it happen.
Yeah.
And the power of Rake and the power of him is sort of like, it doesn't take a lot of like manual labor for him to make this barrow. It's just the earth's like comes up to greet basically and creates this space. Is very beautiful.
So rad. And they don't clean him off. They leave him all bloody and gross and don't fix him up. You just stick him in the barrow.
Well, because they even talked about like with what's her face who Clip killed.
Yeah.
They're like, our way is to say they died, leave them where they are.
Yeah.
And
this is an empty vessel. It doesn't
even matter.
now.
So the fact that they're even putting him in this barrow is like, I think it shows like how many different people that he affected that they would put this piece of honor in a way that they wouldn't normally do for their dead.
Then we have this awesome scene where Shadowthrone and Cantilian show up. Ah, here we are. And they're like, how did that all work out? Oh, by the way, I missed a big moment where Caladan is taking the body out on the ox cart and Krupp stands in front of him like he had before when he like the only person that could stare down Caladan Brood.
Yeah.
But then he bows and moves to the side. I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so Shadowthrone and Cantilian, and they're like, that certainly happened.
Like that was close.
Yeah.
We think.
He's like, there was a moment there where Iskarl Pust almost got the sword, and he's like, that would have been bad. That guy's a real idiot. And he's like, but you literally hired him, right? He's like, well, he sort of hired himself.
He's like, you hired him, and he had Iskarl Pust ghostwrite like the Shadow Bible or whatever it is, effectively the rules about being a shadow priest. And he's like, I thought you wrote that. He's like, when would I have had the time to write that? As if I wrote that. I got schemes. I'm busy with all the schemes.
Is so funny because he's simultaneously the puppet master and a complete boob, like at the same time,
Even
it's so
being
great.
Iskarl, it was so bad if he got this sword, but if he got it, then I would get it. It will be mine. And he's like, okay, chill, man. And he's like, right. We don't want anybody to have it.
It's so good. So good. He's like, he can write anything he wants in that book. He's like, he's trying to figure out how to have two wives. He's like, yeah, I'm sure. And he'll find it in there, right? And the ink will still be wet.
I love it.
Like, such a great line. All right, and then we have a wonderful little denouement moment as well, where Bellum Nom, who has the broken arm, is revealed to be the one that saved Harlow.
Mm-hmm.
Is found by his uncles, Torvald and Rallick. He's like, Uncle.
It's surprising that what's his face Vanaz was able to do so much damage to Bellum.
I agree.
But I'm glad he got him. Whatever.
Yeah. And they have this wonderful little delightful exchange about how, when we were kids, we didn't,
we always got to supper on time.
Yeah.
We'd never worry our parents so.
Yeah. And they leave and they're like, he bought it. We were such little jerks.
Yeah.
And they have that wonderful exchange about Tisara. It's just a great little moment.
It's so great. Like him joking, being like, it's so nice to work together again. We used to always work together until you stole my girlfriend. And
you said you didn't care about that.
And then the little moment of him being like, well, let's go. And like, she'll make us breakfast. And there's like that sweetness of Torvald being like, she's nobody's servant.
Yeah.
Like, oh, your wife better. But then when they go see her, she's like, breakfast, anyone? And he's like,
so great. Well, it's even better than that because he goes, let's go home. Maybe Tisara will make us breakfast. She's like, no, she's not. She doesn't nobody's servant. He's like, okay, well, you can have her then. Which is such a great line. It's like, it's just a lovely little tease. Right?
Yes.
And then she actually does it, which is so great. All right, but Crocus is on Lady Spite's ship. That's where his story is headed. And Lady Spite and her sister, didn't kill each other. She's not explaining why she has to leave immediately, but they're off. Envy is envying. Spite is spiting. It's pretty great.
Something about the description of Lady Envy going and getting I don't know what it is about the idea of amber wine, but I want it. I want a glass. Is it plum wine? I want it.
Yeah, does sound good. All right, and then we have another little beautiful moment with Solara, who's watching Spite's ship sail away, and she's like, "Why do I always pick the wrong boys?"
Barathal's on there getting out of Dodge.
Yeah, smart on him, but you know what? I always do this. I fall for the wrong boy. Then he turns around and plants one on her real good.
Ooh,
such a
love that.
lovely little moment where he's like, I'm a blacksmith. I can forge chains. And she's like,
I got to keep you around. I'll do it. She's like, chains go both ways, baby. He's like, is that okay with you?
So good.
And I'm like, damn, that's okay with me.
Yes. And it ends with narrator Krupp, saying, ride the winds of love, Solara and Barathol, Crocus thinking about Absolar. We get a little moment with our unnamed guard who's back at home with his family that loves him. Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Thordy, who's now free of Gaz and his awfulness and got that money for turning him in. Picker and Blend reunited at Phoenix Inn as Samar watches from the corner. Iskarl Pust, who's like, maybe I will have 2 wives.
It's like blotting the ink dry, being like, perfect. And Magra being like, I could use an accomplice. Me and my pack of spiders saw you from across the bar.
Yeah. I got the sense that she and Sordical Qualm will team up against him.
Oh, absolutely.
So fun. Scorch and Left off to find their own love at the brothel, but realizing that it's empty. Everybody's at the procession. Let's go to the brothel. Oh, it's closed. And then that moment where Tessera sees Torvald and Relic come in and says, anybody want breakfast? I'll make breakfast.
Beauty.
So good. And then, of course, the best part, Harlow coming back and finding his mom and forcing her to... I was teary-eyed that whole scene where he forces Stani to be his mom.
That was one of the scenes where I was like, oh, he came home. That's so nice. And he's like, when he's like there, she's like, nothing good came of this. I can't even look at you. And he's like, something came of it. Yeah. It's me.
The one with the thumbs. This kid.
It's me. That was the moment where I was like, like literally like one word. And I was
so good.
So good.
Beautiful. All right. I know you got to go to work.
I know. I got to go to my job. But a little epilogue. We got a couple hits through there.
Yep.
The biggest
Namander and Skin Tick. Namander has become the new Animander. Rake basically is the leader of the shadow folks in the palace. Interesting.
Had at least 90% of the name. Close enough.
Yeah, we don't have to change the sign on the door.
He got that activatable blood.
Just scrape off the first couple of letters and we're fine. We have this awesome scene at Baruch's house where Vorkin, Derridin, and Baruch, the last of the Tarut Cabal, are there. Kaladin Brune walks in. He's like, all right, we're breaking this sword or what? Let's break this thing. So cool.
Which is it's very much Fires of Mount Doom, right? Because it was made with his hammer, and so
the only thing that can unmake it. Yep. And then Envy, watches Animander Rake's funeral with, you guessed it, Envy, and she gets some wine with Fisher in the garden. Talking about the gardens of the moon. I loved that. And feels the destruction of Dragnapur and realizes that her father, Draconis, has been released of his captivity there. And then Krupp wraps up the story that he's been telling by the hearth fire with Fisher and an elder god. Cruel, I would assume.
I assume.
Yes.
Gives a little dance, puts on a little show.
I gotta say, another thing that got me emotional. I believe very strongly in the power of serendipity, especially in the creative realms. Things that you didn't know that you were setting up for yourself and that happen. I think we've talked about this a bit with Steven Erikson and how that kind of works in his creative process too, or he giving himself things and doesn't know why, and then it happens later and he uses it. I love the fact that we have been dancing to end our show and to begin our show since we started, and here this novel ends with Krupp dancing.
Oh,
I just loved that. It made me feel like there was a reason that we started doing that. And it just felt like this synergistic, beautiful, serendipitous thing that it's like, just felt right. It felt right to dance when talking about Malazan Book of the Fallen. And here we are, the end of book 8. What does Krupp do to end his tale? Gotta dance. Gotta dance.
I got like a little chill. I was just gonna cry hear you saying that.
Right? It just felt like, wow, there are forces at work sometimes that just line up. And it's just beautiful. I don't know.
Beautiful.
Do you have to go, or can we read one? I can do one.
We can read a couple. I'm just gonna be late. It's fine.
Okay. Sorry.
No, I mean, if I would have known, I would have asked your questions or talked less. Hit me with one of yours.
Okay. One of mine.
Or I have one quickly.
Okay, hit your ones quickly.
I have a lot of short ones because it was one of those. Too.
Yeah.
Okay. This is our buddy Raced with Ansi and Barathol knocking on the door.
I love it.
The tall, undead monstrosity filled the doorway. Empty, shadow-drowned eye sockets regarded them. Or not, it was impossible to tell. Ansi shifted from one foot to the other. You busy, Raced? We need to make use of the hallway floor behind you. Oh. Yes, I am very busy. The Falari blinked. Really? Dust breeds, cobwebs thicken, candle wax stains precious surfaces. What do you want? Ansi glanced back at Barathol. Oh, a corpse with a sense of humor. What do you know? And surprise, it's so droll.
It's so good. So good. Oh. All right, this is a short one too. I love this. Perspective, he'd say. You see, the world changes according to where you stand. So choose, my children. Choose and choose again where you will make your stand. Where you will make your stand, the world changes. The world changes. Loved that.
Lovely, lovely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I have one single sentencer. I had like one longer one, but I'm gonna nix it for now. Sorry, everybody.
That's okay.
Peace is born of completion.
I love that. All right. At the risk of making you late, I have to do this. Hast thou ever seen Krupp dance? No, I think not. Not by limb, not by word. Then, my friends, settle yourselves for this night and witness. And so they did. Bard and elder god, and oh, how Krupp danced. Blind to the threat of frowns, blind to dismay, rolling eyes, blind even to contempt, though none of these things came from these two witnesses. But beyond this frail ring of warm light, out in that vast world so discordant, so filled with tumult, judgment harsh and gleeful in cruelty, there can be no knowing the cast of arrayed faces. No matter, one must dance. And dance did Krupp. Oh, yes, he did dance. The night draws to an end. The dream dims in the pale silver of awakening. Krupp ceases, weary beyond reason. Sweat drips down the length of his ratty beard, his latest affectation. The bard sits, head bowed, and in a short time he will say thank you. But for now he must remain silent. And as for the other things he would say, well, they are beyond him and Krupp and none other. Or excuse me, they are between him and Krupp and none other. Fisher sits, head bowed, while an elder god weeps. The tale is spun out. Dance by limb, dance by word, witness. And so shall we. Dance by limb, dance by word, and witness. Thank you all for joining us What an amazing novel. We will reach out to Mr. Erikson. He is always so gracious, and we will hope to schedule a discussion about this one with him soon. We'll let you know about that. We usually take a week off between novels as well, and then on to the 9th tale of the Malazan Book of the Fallen. This, I think, is my favorite so far.
Yeah. Oh,
Utterly beautiful.
mm-hmm.
But now it is time to dance by limb and dance by word and witness. Enjoy.
When the world's too dark of a place to be, and you need an escape from reality, open up those pages, it's sci-fi or fantasy, whatever genre you please. And join a book club, 'cause you won't read it on your own. Join a book club, so you'll be held accountable. It's just a means to an end, but you're doing it with your friends, so join the book club by DLC